Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Opendoor.policy. It's been a bit of a hiatus, and the world is what it is, and life has to still go on. But with everything that's been going on, I actually had somebody reach out to me. I reached out to him about a year ago. His name's Mike. He's from the Eye Opening podcast on YouTube. And we're going to discuss tonight Kundalini syndrome and spiritual psychosis, which, with how everything is going today with the world, with the United States legalizing psychedelics and it being used in all these PTSD treatments, these are things that we really need to start discussing. So without further ado, Mike, welcome to the stage.
Thanks, man. Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thanks for coming on. It was a surprising to get the email back from you, so it's really good to have you on.
Yeah, sorry it took so long.
I get it, man. Life still has to go on in this world, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, let's tell everybody a little bit about yourself. I found you on your YouTube channel, the Eye Opening, and you did a segment. I think it was about 20 minutes long segment on Kundalini syndrome, and I had only started to hear that word within the last couple of years since I was woken up, and everything that you had described down to, going down to, well, I'll let you discuss it. It's your story. Just take it away.
Yeah, this happened in 2008. It's I guess just back up before that. When I was younger, I would have these experiences that I couldn't really describe or explain based on what I learned in school, and just people around me weren't having these experiences, and they were very beautiful. They weren't scary at all. They were um like I'd start like a panic attack kind of, and I'd start kind of hyperventilating, and then so rapid breathing, then I'd start crying, and this would seem to come from nowhere, and then all of a sudden I'd feel this energy in my heart would open, and then I'd look around me, and it felt like just love, and this boundary between me and everything else would melt away, and very intense, but beautiful, but confusing because it's everyone around me is like, you're just crying, like you must be sad, but it was much more than that. And I would start calling them heart openings, and it kind of felt like as if like a cosmic mother, would like pick me up, and I feel like a little kid. It's like hush, hush, like it's okay, you're okay. And this energy would be coming out of my heart and fill my body. Um, so that happened a few times in my adolescence, like growing up. So then I started really searching, like spiritually, like, well, because in school they didn't explain any of that. It's like, what was that? So I look it up, mystics, like mystical experiences people would have, either whether they're yogis or saints or, whatever, just stories of people having this sort of experiences of ego dissolution and kind of a connection or unity with everything. So I really started searching, spiritually, and like searching like yoga. Because basically yoga was it's a system to achieve, enlightenment or union, yoga meaning union. So just really was searching adamantly for answers, and to kind of to like cultivate that state of being, because it felt amazing. It felt more real than like the normal day-to-day life. And that felt more like my true self than the personality and the character, whatever you want to call it, the ego.
So
So
you're saying you kind of had ego dissolution naturally, as an adolescent, I guess. Would that be accurate to say? And you were just trying to question what it be?
Yeah, I guess maybe ego dissolution isn't really appropriate because it's not like I went away. This I sense of this body as myself and this character. It seemed like that was not the whole picture. It's like that was almost like a window through which this other energy would flow through. So it's not like the ego went away. It's just that it became a different experience of the ego. It wasn't like this is it. This is all I am. It was like, no, you're more than this. You're more of like this awareness that kind of looks through or operates through this ego, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It's even when we've been doing our research on our end, it does seem that people are either somehow have a natural gift or there's a trauma that triggers said gift. And that's kind of where the biggest one I've noticed is like if you've had substantial amounts of trauma within your life, like it's much easier for you to have these awakening process than it would be for somebody who's never had a hangnail, let alone a traumatic experience in their life. So I see it on that end, but I've also have known people to have, I guess, abilities or what have you. But these things are in the zeitgeist, and my viewers know that I speak to a shrink once in a while, and they're talking about these things now, and it's very hard to uh, to find the vocabulary for it to explain to others without them just writing it off as woo woo and deeming you as not well, right? And I think there's a lot to these things more so than just people have these experiences without using psychedelic drugs. That's and that's where we're going to get into with the Kundalini stuff, right? With the yogic practices, like you can have a DMT state just through Kundalini breathing, but they always warn you, right? Like go slow, and that doesn't just mean with that progress, that means with everything. That means the books that we're reading, all of these, because all of these different texts say the same thing, no matter what culture it's in. It's just a different way. Like Kabbalah is New Age and New Age, and all of these different things that are involved. They bring you to that state of consciousness that everyone's looking for. I guess you would call it enlightenment, and it's easy to do, but you shouldn't do it so quick because then it creates too much, right? If you're drinking out of a fire hose, right? Some people just get blown away, right? And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what we can agree on with this process.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, when I eventually got to that experience, that was intense, and afterwards, that was definitely the lesson. It was like you should not rush into this. You need to be. It's like you don't do it. You allow the bigger energy, whatever you want to call it, the unity energy within everything. It it knows when you're ready because it's like, call it God, call it what you will. I don't know your belief system or your viewers' belief system, but whatever you want to call it, that which created you, the bigger sense of self or creator, like it knows what's best, and it needs to come from a state of like humbleness instead of you being like, oh, I would need to like over searching over like too quickly,
Hmm.
because then you might not be ready. And exactly like you said, like if you're not ready, it'll be way too much, and it'll be overwhelming and can put you two steps back, one step forward, two steps back. So
Right. So I guess on that topic then, like where would you, I guess, how are you raised? Were you raised spiritual or Catholic and then where are you now after you've had this experience? Like, because, we talk about a creator and source and all of these different things, but like even when I went down my rabbit hole, I looked at it going, you know, what we've learned from this awakening, so to speak, right? Like you get that repentance, you have your self-loathing, all of those things that come up, all those things you hate about yourself. I often wonder if it's like maybe that's exactly what Christ was teaching as well. Like that is what repentance is, right? Like looking at the self-introspection and getting rid of that out of your life, and then trying to live a better, kinder life from that point forward. And that goes with afflictions of drugs and booze and everything. Like that's how I looked at it when I was going through my rabbit hole. And maybe that's still just the case, right? Because it's not everyone that deems it, it's satanic panic and all that other stuff. Like I'm on the cusp, right? Like it could be, but if it's waking people up and making them consider these things and coming back to whatever their said religion is that not a good thing to happen? That's how I look at it. As long as people are taking their head out of the CNN newsreels and actually look like thinking about life, I think this is a benefit, net positive. What do you say so?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I believe so. I believe it all happens for a reason, and it's all there can always be lessons gleaned from these experiences for sure. Yeah.
So like where do you get your pattern, like the pattern recognition, like, or like the synchronicities? Like what were the first things you noticed when you had your awakening? And I guess what was your initial awakening that gave, like, let's go with the Kundalini experience. Like what was profoundly the change there that set things in motion for you to like go through what you were talking about in your podcast?
Yeah. Well, what initially happened was just what my YouTube channel is named after. The eye opening is I had a third eye experience, and it was when I was younger, it was heart opening, and I just felt it in my heart, and when I was 20 years old, all of a sudden, similar experience in my heart, but then I felt my head open, and it felt like a physical eye, and I felt energy. Not, I should like it's in the middle of my brain, and it kind of a pop, and it would blink when I would blink my eyes, and it was very orgasmic. It felt like an orgasm was in my brain, and when that happened, I looked around, and everything was like glistening with this vibrating light, and this same light was in my heart, and it felt like heaven on earth, paradise on earth, and unity. So it was very intense, very beautiful. So that was the initial big awakening, which was awesome. And then this Kundalini syndrome, the video you're referring to, that came a year after, because after that third eye experience, I started like I quit. I left school. I was in college, and I was like, I can't ignore this experience. Like that was so important, and I kind of felt like this obligation. I'm like, am I supposed to be like some like I don't know like teacher now? And I was so young. I was 20. I was like 19 or 20. So I started going to this like doubt and fear and just kind of like, I don't think, I just wasn't ready, you know what I mean, for that sort of experience. And, but also I was like really desperate for it. Like I wanted it again. I was like, that's all that matters. I need to experience it. And I was getting kind of this desperate feeling. And so I did this fast. I was fasting in a room in the dark for like 3 days, and I didn't sleep for 3 days. So this is what started like the downward spiral. I didn't sleep for 3 days. Um, and then I feel like I could hear like people's thoughts. And I mean, and they say you basically go into psychosis when you don't sleep. So that definitely was the case. Um, and I started having this story in my head about like all of creation and how just like it was a nightmare. I basically was creating a nightmare for myself, and I was convinced that it was what was happening. And then I would have these thoughts, like I would in the park, I'd have these thoughts about just like dark thoughts, and then like someone walking by would say something, and it was like exactly what I was thinking. You know what I mean? Like these weird like synchronicities like that, and you're just like, whoa. So, it happened a few times. Like the airport, yeah, like someone walked by, and um, I can go into the details of what I was thinking because it was just such a dark place I was in. It was very
Well, you're
negative,
right. The
very.
synchronicities kick your ass when you're doing that. When I had my worst part, I got into like cycles. Like I was into my mind. I was to the point where I was studying the Bardo, and then I got to cycles, and then that repetition, right? The Groundhog Day thing, and then I got in my own head, and that drove me crazy. For the same reason, right? Because I was like, this can't be real. Like, this can't be real. But then I would turn on like me and my mom would watch the Twilight Zone, right? But then like her TV has the title of the episode, right? And then the title of the episode would almost be like it was telling me stuff. And then so I would change it on purpose, and then it would be another episode. It'd be like, like it would always be like the universe can reach out and touch you essentially. And I've it taunts you, right? And I look at those as, I tell my friends now, it's like, I think those are nudges. I think like it could hurt you, but it's like I don't know how to really explain it, but you're right. Like when somebody says something, like it almost feels like you're in player one syndrome. You realize you're a player in a game and everyone else is an NPC. That's how it kind of feels. And exactly what you had said, my co-host, he's going through the same thing I am, and we both talk about like, I gotta be a teacher, I gotta be a healer, I gotta do this, that, and the other thing, or maybe I should be studying philosophy. Like we've been, and everybody we talk to seems to go through that exact same domino effect, right? And it's just to the point now where I can almost look at somebody and go, okay, this is where you are in the process. Like, go slow here, or here's some advice to get you through the next part. Like it's to that level of, I've had enough of these conversations, and it's just weird that they would just easily slap people with diagnoses. And I think if we're actually lucky for these things to happening now to us, because 40 years ago, like, we'd be in the nut house and locked away forever, and or we'd be in the jails right now, ward of the state, because you're crazy. Yet these synchronicities, I don't want to say predict the future, but they certainly show you the chess pieces on the board and what the probabilities may or may not be. And that's where you can put your bets. And that's what I've noticed, right? Like I told you off camera, I had, kind of already knew that we had pedophile vampires running the world 2 years ago, right? And I was talking about aliens. Like everybody, for some reason, goes back to aliens as well when they have these awakenings. Like this, whether it be alien grays or the Pleiades star cluster, Intergalactic Federation, like these are the two diametrics that seem to be common, whether you do it through DMT, Kundalini, or just schizophrenia, so to speak. And I believe that schizophrenia is literally people are 1 foot in the door at all times. That like what people experience on DMT is exactly what schizophrenics are going through. But at the same time, I also believe that if we were to have fun and say this was simulation, um, like when you do these retreats, it almost feels like they have to give you a little bit of schizophrenia to defrag your mind, to re-put, like, to factory reset it. It almost seems like schizophrenia is a requirement when you have these experiences, right? Maybe that's the ego dissolution. I'm not sure, but it certainly seems like they're all interconnected.
Yeah, no, no, definitely. And yeah, I like to think that, like, at least my experience was it was a very intense experience, but a very strong lesson that I could not deny, which is like our consciousness is one with everything, and what we put out is what we get back.
Yeah, like polarity.
Yeah, like the thoughts we put out, that they're gonna come back to you, like in the experiences in your life. So like it's like a holographic or a dreamlike experience that we are constantly co-creating with everyone else. And kind of like what you said, the player one syndrome thing, or however you said it, which is everyone else is a um, what's that acronym you
An
said?
NPC, non-player
NPC.
characters.
Yeah. And what really helped me, as I read somewhere, was that like this experience we're having here, you're so loved and so like free, your free will to do and create what you wish in your experience, that even others that seem like others, which is really the same energy, it's all one thing, they reflect back to you exactly what you like character that you cast them in. So they do become like and again, whatever that acronym you said, sorry, like they literally perform for you exactly what you, because like you're like the director of the movie, you know what I mean? And like you're casting the characters, and like they like automatically do it for you because this one energy within everything like supports you unconditionally. Whether you're having a nightmare and creating a scary experience like I did, or if you're or have an amazing experience, like whatever that is, whatever you're putting out, they will perform it for you because you are unconditionally loved and are allowed to have whatever dream you wish. I don't know if that makes sense, but
No, it does. It absolutely does. It's almost like how they say like manifest, right? Well, I guess that really is manifesting, right? Or you could take it the dark way and make it like once you're aware, you can be a manipulator, right? Like it almost seems like these are like unspoken gifts that we already know that we have. It's just I don't maybe the ego is blocking it or uh, it just seems like something definitely does happen, right? And the way the world's going right now, you know, when you wake up and you realize that the beings are real, no matter whatever substance or non-substance you take, you realize they're the same things that are teaching you the same things. And now, the government is openly talking about it and everything seems like it's converging, like even down to, you know, this spiritual awakening that we're having right now versus, the stuff people thought was kooky back in the day. Like there has to be it almost seems like a singularity. That's what the true singularity is going to be when they realize that all of these things converge at one point and there's no way around it, right? Because if the COVID started waking people up because that was a trauma in the world. Now imagine whatever this next big trauma is going to be. Like if they have a mass awakening psychosis and people are being the way that we are right now, that's going to change the world. Like for better or worse, because you also know, right? Like there's that dark night of the soul that comes with it, and a lot of people don't make it out of that alive, literally. So I think we're going to see a little bit of anarchy if that does happen, and people wake up the way we do automatically. Because even the New Agers are all saying the ascension is coming, whatever you want that to be. That's kind of the buzzword now, the ascension. And then you've got the Christians talking about the rapture, and you know, and I've looked into it, and I was like, well, maybe this enlightenment experience is the rapture, and people just don't know. They say 144,000. Well, that's a governing body. That doesn't mean it's only 144,000 people are going to be woken up, because if you count up the chakra petals, those add up to 144 times 1,000. There's 144,000 petals in the chakra system, right? And that's where your enlightenment comes from, is your crown chakra with 1,000, right? So, if this happens, like it's going to profoundly change things. But like perhaps maybe this awakening is a positive. Maybe that's what they've been talking about all along, is enlightenment is being raptured. You die and you come back again, right? It's almost the same story as Christ, right? I mean, you have your ego death, you shed your skin like a snake, and you come back and you try to repent and be a better person every day. And it's almost like you're not even trying to anymore. It's like your body just does it for you. And that's kind of where we find ourselves with this. But it's that 9 month window that's in between that's going to be the terrifying part, especially if it's on a world mass. And that's why I do this podcast and talk to people like yourself, because we need to talk about this and find the proper vocabulary to get out to people to go, "You don't go nuts. Like this is normal. It's going to be okay." But instead, unfortunately, you and I are both, victims of the system, right? And, we got hit with, diagnoses and whatnot that are a scar on the record, right? And it shouldn't be, because what happens now when they realize this stuff is true and all those other people who are diagnosed aren't nuts? Like, what do we do then, right? Like, there's no way that they're not going to be a big shakeup or change in the world. Like, I think this is, again, I'm not saying it is the rapture, but it sure hell feels like what enlightenment would be. Sorry, I ran long. I talk a little much. You can cut me off. It's all right.
no, it's fine. It's all good. Yeah, no, I agree. I'd like to think that there's going to be a mass awakening happening. And like you said, trauma or polarization, I think, expedites transformation. So things that are very extreme, it kind of slaps people out of complacency. You know, it's like things are getting so like crazy, you know, whatever, whether it's war or COVID, or people are like, whoa, this what's like happening, and it kind of forces them to look within, or it forces them to question, wait, what's really going on here? You know what I mean? And like, what do I really want? What do we all really want? You can't just complacently be like, oh, it's fine, you know. It kind of forces you to change. So like what you said, I agree with that. Like trauma or things can be scary, but it accelerates transformation. Um, so I think that's beautiful. And I do believe that we are coming to an awakening. And it's beautiful that there's YouTube and the internet to so people don't feel alone in this. And like you doing a podcast like this. Because like just like in my video, all people's comments, so many people, like I've had the same thing. Thank you so much for sharing. I had the same experience. I had the same experience, which was really awesome for me too. Like just hearing that, because I felt so alone in it, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so it's beautiful that we have these, you know, platforms in place where we can share information and hopefully help people be like, you're not alone. It's okay. This could be scary, but it's just one of the it's like the growing pains, and like you said, like shedding the skin, it can be painful, or like the cocoon shards coming off the caterpillar before the butterfly comes. Like it'll hurt, you know. You're going through a crazy transformation. It might hurt a little bit, and it might be scary because it's like a dive head first into the unknown. You know, it's like this is a territory you're not used to. Your whole reality and belief system is melting away, and it's like a rebirth. And when to do that rebirth, it's like you kind of have to let go of everything you think you know. You know what I mean? Like the ground that you thought was there, it's like drops out from under you. And of course, that can be very scary. But to give, I don't know, some confidence or advice to people is just like, I mean, trust it. And every time for me, where I feel like the ground's falling out from under me, it's of course it's scary at first, and like you're free falling, but then all of a sudden you have a parachute on your back. It just like appears, you know, and you didn't think it was there at the beginning, and you realize you really are taken care of from a bigger source, energy, God, whatever you want to call it, unconditional love. And it's exciting. I know it's terrifying, but I do think like on a soul level, choosing to be on Earth, it's like a it's like a master's class, or it's like souls that are like, this is like the wildest roller coaster in the theme park, you know what I mean, this Earth experience. And like if you wouldn't have come if you weren't ready for it or up for it, you know what I
A
mean, so
lot of the
feel
new
that.
agers say that too, like Earth
Yeah.
is the final boss, right? It's the hardest level to beat or whatever it is, right? And I like to believe that because, like the thing that scares me, like I'm not afraid of heaven or hell. Like it doesn't bother. Like honestly, what's terrifying to me is like redoing this forever, the same life, same everything over, and then you wake up every now and then, and then you change it a little bit, try to live it better. Like that seems like a personal hell to me, but it almost seems like it's true too, right? Because everybody says, "Oh, I had a past life." It's just like, well, you weren't Cleopatra. Like you were probably you doing the same thing you're doing right now. Like and you try to romance it up a bit and you go, well, people do call me an old soul, and I feel like I've known you forever. Well, maybe you have, right? Like I don't know what's real anymore, and I had a science background in my career. I used to believe, this is how things are, and now I don't anymore. It's just and it almost feels like we're living in the twilight zone, but like once you have an awakening, if you've had these awakenings, you don't care. Like I feel like I'm now like I'm just a viewer. I'm just bearing witness to it and going, this is gonna be great. Like I know what's up. Like I don't care. I'm just gonna live a great life until the aliens land or the nukes fly or whatever the thing is. I don't care. It's just this is a cool experience. Like that's where I'm beginning to be after my integration time.
That's
I think that's what people just really need to, you know, look at it that way, right? Like I got rid of stuff that doesn't serve me, got rid of stuff in my house, materialistic gone, got rid of people I don't need gone, like just things that don't serve me anymore. Like it's again part of the shedding, right? And it feels good to do. And you know, I know the Catholics are going to hate me for this, but like they're also the ones that say this is Satan's work too, and I don't fully agree with them. Like I do think this stuff is good, but I also tell people to use caution, right? Because you know, there's people out there who say they're Pleiadian star seeds and they talk to these beings all the time, right? I only see them when I go cross over with DMT and I don't want to, right? There's I don't know what to make of it, but I do tell people use caution, like, and just seek the truth, really. Um, like I guess what I'll ask you just just to wrap it up, what do you think is actually going on? What do you like? What have the downloads shown you for the future, if you've had any, and what do you think is on the other side, and like why this is happening? Like, what is the phenomenon?
I feel like the downloads that I've gotten is that only love is real, and really there's only two choices: fear or love, and you have free will, so you get to choose your experience. And if you choose fear, that is, what you sow, so shall you reap. That's the experience you shall have. But if you choose love, you shall have a more heavenly, paradisial experience on earth. And I feel like the awakening is people realizing that there really is no inside and outside. It's all one thing, which, it's hard to describe, but it's like, it's realizing that that the individual isn't just a body. You're eternal. You're part of spirit, which is everything, and that you are loved, and that you're waking up and realizing that you're a co-creator with creator, so that you can choose to co-create in alignment with creator, which is with love, beauty, harmony, integration, or you can choose not to with fear, and it'd be, segregative, thinking you're separate, thinking things are separate. It's that dichotomy experience on earth. So I think the awakening is people realizing that they're self-empowered. They're not a victim. Their choice is daily of how they perceive things is what they shall get, is what they shall reap. And that really there's nothing outside coming towards them. It's really them projecting out their energy, and that's what they experience. I think that's the awakening, which is really self-empowering and beautiful, right? It's not like, oh, I'm a victim, I'm just a pawn or whatever.
More accountability and authenticity at the end.
Exactly. Taking responsibility for your domain. Because I feel like everyone's sovereign within themselves. And that's the awakening. I feel like people realizing that they're divine, they're eternal. This is a temporary experience here. And I think it was beautiful what you said. To kind of don't take it so seriously and just, kind of like you said, like, I don't care. I'm just gonna experience it and see what happens and enjoy the ride, Yeah, I think I feel like that's at least that's what I want the awakening's gonna be, is basically just, heaven on earth, the kingdom of heaven on earth, which is that everyone sees each other as themselves, really, as that one energy, and treating them thusly. It's just the golden rule. It's like pretty simple if you get down to it. It's like if it's all just one energy, which at the quantum level, or just the atomic level, like looking at scientific lens, it's like it is all one thing. It's just all energy, you know what I mean? So
Vibration.
yeah, vibration, exactly. So if you just treat everything in that way and perceive it in that way, not thinking it as something else, not thinking it as a bad thing over there and judging, but just seeing it as that's energy, that's the same energy as me, and that person or thing is choosing, because they have free will, whatever they want. Because it's a free will zone. It's like they're in their video game and they're the number one player. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to judge it. I'm going to love them and and allow them to do what they want. I might not agree with it, of course, but just choosing to perceive everything as that one. I think that's the awakening. And then realizing that you are taken care of eternally, and that you have a like you have insane backup and insane reconnaissance. And if you just open to that guidance system within you, it'll help you. You know what I mean? So like, don't feel like you're alone. I know that's the scary experience like mine. I feel like I was alone and I was in hell, you know. But if you lighten up on yourself and take it easy and don't take it so seriously and remember the joy and the love, you start to get that whisper in your heart and that compass, inner compass, you know what I mean? I think that's the awakening. People realizing that they have this inner guidance system that leads unerringly in the right direction to their highest joy, to their greatest growth, and to the will that helps, that has everyone's best interest, you know.
What would you say the bad things that happen to people are? Would you say like they're nudges from the universe? Or something just I had this conversation the other day. And my friend's like, I don't know why it's just one thing after another. Why is it always me? Always me. I'm the one. And I often wonder, is it maybe that's just the universe giving you a nudge? Like, why is it always nudging me? I don't know. Maybe it's pushing you to think of something else. What do you think of that?
Totally, but I'm just like, curious, like what are the nudges? Is it like it's like a repeated thing that happens to them
Well,
that's
his apartment flooded, right? It was just like one bad thing after another just happens. This out of natural. His apartment flooded. He's had other things go wrong. It's just, he said, I can't catch a break. I wonder if it's just, is everything a
I
synchronicity or is just sometimes just shit happens, right?
no, I believe everything's a synchronicity and nothing happens by accident. And I feel like things like that, it's a, like I said, like things that you can't ignore, it's a slap in the face. It's a nudge, like you said, ones that you can't ignore. So it's something the universe pushing him to change a belief pattern, change something. It's pushing. It's expediting transformation.
Hmm.
That's what I think. So, but also that just hearing that dialogue of saying, "Why is it always me?" That's a victim mentality, which is
Right.
there's no judgment there. That's fine. I mean, that's I think how most people operate on Earth right now. But then that's the experience you're gonna have if that's the belief you're having. If you're putting out why this always happens to me, then okay, it's always gonna happen to you. You know what I mean? Because what you sow is what you reap. So if you're saying
Better
to the
just to
universe,
laugh it off and laugh at the universe and then maybe get a pool next year.
exactly, just say, okay, it's flooding again. You can neutralize it, right? Make it a neutral event. Not say it bad or good. And be like, okay, this is a big thing. Why is this happening? And it forces you to be introspective, right? Like if this does keep happening to me, it's like, okay, something's out of alignment within me. You know what I mean? So it's again, it's expediting transformation.
I like that. That's actually a really good way to put that. Yeah. And it's good to see like you're doing psychedelic I'm sorry, I don't know the term. Integration uh, counseling? Is that what it is?
It's not counseling. They say it's facilitation, and it's in the state of Oregon because now it's legal for psilocybin. I've
Yeah.
only done it. I went to the training. I have license. I've only done one retreat, so I shouldn't say like I'm a big. I'm new to it for sure.
Mhm.
But
What are you
I
guys
do.
using? Like, are you guys using like up to 5 grams of mushroom? Is like the McKenna doses to send people away, or like what like how does that work? Because the plant medicine I used was just like shamanic Kundalini breathing with marijuana.
Yeah, which is a very powerful. I've my most um, intense experience has just been from breathing. It's like the most psychedelic experience is just from breathing. So I can totally relate to what you're saying. But no, the retreat center I worked at again once. I'm new to this. It's psilocybin, mushrooms, and I would say the first dose is around 2 grams, and then a few days later they probably do like 3 or 4 grams.
Okay, so they kind of do it the same way mine did it. Like they bump it up every like I think we did 3 ceremonies over 10 days. And then you'd
Okay.
have like your fasting in between and your dietary concerns, and it was all, touch grass and go get a massage. It was bougie.
Yeah.
Um, and then you just this thing happens and you're like, whoa, I did not, because I didn't know when I did mine, I had no idea. I was just like, well, I'm just going up here to relax. Oh, this detox, right? And then
Yeah.
you meet God or whatever it is. It broke me like completely, and that's where I got mad because I was like, if you don't tell people what this is, you're gonna crush a lot of Christians' lives. Like
Yeah.
if and but they're not using the words right. They're not warning you. They just like it's almost like it's an experiment for them too, like to see if you'll even cross over. It's like they won't tell you anything to lead you in, and that's kind of how I am with people. When I don't tell them anything, and then they'll start telling me stuff, and I'm like, okay, you're here, here, and here, and then you're gonna go here, right? Like I don't know
Yeah.
if you've been to the desert. I've been to the desert. I've been to like the pillars with the checkered floors, right? And I was like, well, this is wild. And I go there a lot. And then it's triangles and stuff, right? Like that's every time I'm on that side, it's just it was the same when I was up there. It's the same, whatever you want to call it, right? Um but I'm telling you, like with the plant medicine and marijuana, like I've done DMT a lot, and like the plant medicine sent me further into a breakthrough than I've ever been in my life. Like I came out the other side of that, and people need to realize like you don't need to have these drugs to do it. But like the yogis say, they warn you like not to do certain breathing techniques. I don't know if it's the one with the nostril or not. There's like one that say don't do it because that'll send you into this place. So it's cool that we can have these conversations, and like you're doing the retreats in the state. So I'd love to have you on again as you get further into this and just see how things are developing as everything has been legalized in the United States. I'd love to have this conversation again and actually possibly even have you on with a veteran buddy of mine who's doing his I think he's doing his master's on in psychology, but they're using psychedelics now. Like they're doing the studies. So it'd be really cool to have like that panel going, and maybe we can build off of that together. Um,
Totally. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. And it's cool that Canada is kind of ahead of the curve because we're slowly catching up the US, but like you said, it's so new that we're still figuring it out. Like you said, when in your program, they didn't really prep you, it sounds like,
no.
sufficiently.
No.
So
And
we're,
then it's like when you go find out through the old witch books, like you go talk to the crazy witches and you see everything you just did in those books,
yeah.
you kind of freak out, and that's where my anger started, right? So like people
Yeah.
need to be aware of these things, and I think it's coming, right? I mean, I see psychedelic assisted therapy coach stuff popping up all over online now too as well, like for schooling. So I'm like, it's inevitable. It's probably the singularity, like we had said earlier, right? What it has to do with aliens and I don't know, but the trip reports all talk about the same things too, right? So. If anyone thinks we're bullshitting, I highly encourage you go out there and read Death by Astonishment, and that book that's pretty much sums it up. And Mike,
Nice.
I wanted to say thank you. Is there anything you want to plug, or any page that you're on, or anything that you got coming up? Please let the viewers know.
Not really. I've been kind of missing in action from my YouTube channel, but that's really all I do is the YouTube channel. So at the eye opening, but yeah, it's definitely um, a resurgence of psychedelics for sure, and I think it's exciting. But yeah, thanks for having me, man, and I'm happy to talk again with the panel, like you said.
Not a problem. It was a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for getting back to me because, I was going through a rough time when I found your video, and it really helped me out. And I hopefully this conversation helps out other people out there. So thanks everybody for watching. You know what to do. Hit the thing, make the ding, and subscribe, and check out Mike's page, The Eye Opening on YouTube. Cheers, guys.